So hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Brent. Pronouns are he, they. You might know me as Dorklord Canada, various places on the internet. This is my, well, it's the first, so I can't honestly say that it's my regular Wednesday night, but I plan for it to be my regular Wednesday night Solo TTRPG stream. Tonight, I'm talking with my friend,
Hi.
Kat. Kat,
Hi.
why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Kat. My pronouns are she and they, and I am the lead designer at Peach Garden Games. I am the host, king of the podcast Sword of Symphonies, where my good, cool friends playtest my game. And I was the choir master of Roar to Heaven, where different cool friends played a different game and were punished for it.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to talk. I mean, we may talk about that later on, but that's not the primary reason we're here tonight.
It's not.
Um, we are going to talk about solo TTRPGs, and specifically, we're going to talk
Yes.
about that third special thing that you do, um, solo but not alone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that. I do a lot of stuff, Brent. I knew all along that was what this
Yes,
was about. I'm
I
I'm
mean,
being theatrical for the bit.
it's third from my point of view. I have no idea where it ranks for you, but
It is the most important thing I do,
oh well, there you go.
but I'm also very forgetful. Yes, I love solo TTRPGs. I love them so much. And I love mental health so much. So this is a very important time of year for me where I get to talk at length about both.
Excellent. Well, I certainly want you to do that. So tell me a little bit about Solo But Not Alone and how it got started. Where did the like was it just an idea that sprung fully form into your head, or was
My
it?
demon niece,
Oh, good.
my sister's hell eldest, spent her, oh gosh, let's see, Solo But Not Alone 3. How how old was she? I don't know how to do math. I think it was her fourth birthday. Because she was, no, it must have been her fourth birthday. Because she was not good at writing yet. But she spent her fourth birthday making cards for me. Like she knew green was my favorite color and she couldn't write. So she just put a big scribble of green on a piece of paper for me. And I thought this little goblin has spent her birthday doing something nice for me. And I'm so touched and so impressed. I adore my sister's kids. They're the center of my world. But I was like, I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna lose to this little shit and affectionate. I'm not gonna lose. So I'm going to spend my birthday doing something nice for other people too. And then as December rolled around, I realized that it was December 2020, and that's not true. It was December 2019. No, it was December 2020.
Okay.
21, 22, 23, 24. So it was December 2020, and everyone was miserable because pandemic. And in addition, it was the holiday season, and everybody knows the statistics about suicides and depression during the holiday season. So I thought, let's do a charity bundle because I'd recently seen the charity bundle for racial justice and awareness and decided I can do that. I'm going to do a charity bundle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it for suicide prevention because this is the time of year to prevent those. And I made a post on Twitter. I was like, hey, if I was doing this with a bunch of solo games, because I love solo games, who'd be in? And the answer was lots of people would be in. And every year, lots of people are in. And it is still going strong 4 years later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, just blocking more bots. Uh,
You got to keep doing it.
it's so much fun. Um, do, I moderate for some other channels, so this is also what I spend my time doing when I'm
Oh,
there.
kicking them.
Yep, kicking them out. Um, well, that's excellent. So why take this org?
Well, for the first 3 years, it was for Jasper's game day.
Mm-hmm.
But Jasper shut its doors. Not necessarily a sad thing. The founder was a teenager when she started it, and it was
Mm-hmm.
time for her to move on to other things.
Yeah,
So, like, I'm
like
I'm thrilled for Fenway to be moving on to the next chapter in her life.
yeah.
But Fenway recommended I look into a couple charities, and I picked Take This because they have experience working in the TTRPG space.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, even though it's a more general mental health charity, it's not strictly suicide prevention. They provide a lot of suicide prevention resources. And because they work in the gaming space, it will be much easier to convince them to sign up for an itch.io account. Because that's my secret magic that makes the bundle easy. So,
Nice. Yeah. How does that make the bundle easier?
well, every year I make a spreadsheet, a big old spreadsheet of everything that's in the bundle. And
Oh, right.
it's tags and it's summaries and content warnings and what you need to play it. So that, like, it's a huge bundle. I don't want people to download it and then be like, oh, I don't know how to sort through all these games. I made a spreadsheet for you. Then what I do is I get the charity to create an itch.io account and upload the spreadsheet as a project. We add the project to the bundle, and then I just take the little slider and I slide it all the way up so that all the proceeds go to the charity. I don't ever touch it.
Nice.
Easy. Well, you
Excellent.
have to make a big spreadsheet, but
Yeah.
bad.
But you were making a big spreadsheet anyway, so
Yeah, I was going to do that either way.
nice. Yeah, and I have to say that's like one of the things that I really appreciate with the bundle is having that big spreadsheet and being able to go through and find stuff, like immediately find stuff that I want to play, but also see what else is there, and like if I try something new and I like it, then I immediately know like what other games in the bundle are like it, and I can,
Yeah.
or if I don't have some. I think for the longest time I didn't have tarot cards, so like if a game required tarot cards, it was like, well, that's not for me right now. But
Exactly. I want people to be able to find that information easily so they
yeah,
don't like get hyped up, download a game, realize it needs something they don't have. The first year there were so many wretched games because that was the year of the Wretched Jam.
yes,
And the thing about Wretched and Alone games that they require a Jenga tower, and if you haven't got one, there are substitutes, but it's not the same.
yeah, it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm going to make sure that the spreadsheet includes what you need to play so that people don't like get disappointed.
Yeah,
Another thing I put in there is content warnings because every year somebody approaches me and says, Kat, I would love to be in this bundle. This is near and dear to me. I've written an extremely grim dark game. Is that okay?
yeah,
And my answers are twofold. First of all, if you include content warnings, audiences can make their own decision about whether they can handle a grim dark game.
yeah,
And second of all, speaking as a depressed person, we love that shit. we love it. We wallow in it.
yeah.
And
Look,
also, the bundle's not exclusively for depressed people. It's for everybody. It's
Yeah.
just benefiting suicide prevention.
yeah. You don't have to be depressed to play solo TTRPGs.
You don't, but it helps.
Yes. Yeah, I do have to say, even before, like, well, especially when the pandemic hit, but even before that, as someone who lives with SAD, seasonally activated depression, for those not in the know,
Yes.
solo games were always like a really good substitute for those times when I just couldn't be arsed to pull together like a table of people to play something.
Yeah. That's been my experience too. Has just been like, I need to like escape. I need to embody a person who isn't me. and I need to lose myself in a story, and I do not want to talk to my friends right now.
Yeah.
Because I have convinced myself that they secretly hate me. So instead, what I will
Yay.
do, yeah, it's fun, is I will pull up a solo game and and nowadays I just do it, I'm bored, I feel like it, I want to tell a little story. There's a lot of reasons, but when I'm having a depressive episode, listen, okay, as a person who has been suicidally depressive, sometimes you just got to get through the fucking night. You can worry about talking to a doctor when the sun's up. You can worry about making positive change in your life when you're feeling a little bit more stable. But when you're in the thick of it, you just have to focus on passing the time until the episode passes. And solo games are fantastic for that. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I wholeheartedly, I will show you actually. Normally I just talk about it. This time I'm going to show it. Ta-da! This is the Sad Cat Survival Kit. Ta-da!
Nice.
Yeah. It's got stickers from from my favorite podcasts, the Eternity Archives. And some various cute dice stickers on it. It's got a lot of stickers. There's a little asexual alicorn down there.
Nice.
And in here are basically anything that depressed cat could conceivably need. I have got some aromatherapy stuff. That's like, it's cedar and pine. Those are supposed to be very good smells for depression.
Mm-hmm.
I've got candles because I love to light a fire. I've got some canned coffee to kind of boost my energy levels, and canned Japanese coffee is full of sugar. So if I'm having a blood sugar problem that's contributing to my depression, speaking of which, I have Pringles. And of course I have tarot cards because the tarot cards are my dearest friends.
Mm-hmm.
But here's why I hauled this out. Come on out, everyone. I've got a stack of Solo TTRPGs that I've printed up. This is my favorite game of all time, Friendly Neighborhood Superhero by Cat Scratcher Studios.
Cool.
I love those boys, and you should too. And I've also got like a journal, a pencil, dice, and playing cards. Everything I could need to play this game. And I would suggest, if you're a person who is prone to not just depression, actually, if you have any version of yourself that can't take care of yourself, I would recommend putting together a little emergency kit for that version of you. Whether it's like a chronic fatigue self, or a mind fog self, or a depressed self, having a little kit with all the things that you need is a great way of getting through the worst of it, so that you can, get through the worst of it and then focus on fixing it another time. Another thing that's in here that I'm very proud of is a card with money in it that says, "Dear Sad Cat of the future, you are allowed to order pizza. Love, Sad Cat."
Nice.
Yeah, because I can be really hard on myself. I tell myself I don't deserve to eat. I tell myself that I spend too much money and I can't. So having money set aside specifically so that when I'm too depressed to cook, I can order pizza, and giving myself permission.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm very pleased is in here.
Yeah.
I haven't had to use it in a while.
Oh, that's
actually. Yeah, it is good. It's delightful to know that. I've also got like my favorite rose scented eye masks, because I love anything rose scented. But my Sad Cat Survival Kit has a stack of solo RPGs in there, specifically because if I'm fully having a depressive episode, I want to play Friendly Neighborhood Superhero and be like a little super powered friendo helping a community. Like, I think No One Dies Alone in Revolution is in there as well, which is about like writing revolutionary epitaph poetry for fallen patriot. Well, not patriots, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like fallen compatriots.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful game. So what else is it? I'm gonna go through it later and find out exactly what it is I put in here. It's been a bit,
Nice.
but they're good company.
It's true. It's true. I can even remember back to, um, like the dawn, the dinosaur age of tabletop gaming, um, and just playing through modules on my own. That was sort of how I learned a module and got it ready to DM it. Was just sitting at my desk and playing it through on my own. Um, you know, fudge dice rolls and all. But yeah, I think it's important to be able to like, because I know some people read when they're depressed. I do that too. But sometimes you do need that more active thing,
Yeah.
to sort of get your brain out of, because it's very easy to, again, as you say, if you're in a depressive episode, it's very, very tempting to wallow in those feelings, and reading can sometimes feed into that, because you tend to gravitate towards things that you can wallow in when you're reading while you're depressed.
And
And
I find that solo games also, a lot of them give you a chance to inhabit someone who isn't you. Like
yeah,
reading, you're still kind of you reading a book, but a good solo game, some of them you're not you for that time.
yeah,
And that sometimes is exactly what you want when you're depressed. It's just not to be you for a night.
yeah, exactly.
I want to be Jetpack Jeff, my superhero from Friendly Neighborhood superhero.
Exactly.
He's a good lad. His arch nemesis is Laser Gun Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a hack of this game. I made a hack of Friendly Neighborhood Superhero, my favorite game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Solo But Not Alone 4. It's called To Swear on Your Honor, and it's about being a knight
Nice.
and going on adventures for your liege. But I secretly made the tables a little bit sad, so the longer you play, the more likely it is that you're going to have to question your relationship with your liege. That's a secret.
That's fine. It's just between us and
Don't
the
tell
internet.
anybody.
Yeah.
It's just between us. Don't tell anybody.
Everyone here promises not to say anything.
Everybody, shh.
But you should definitely grab Solo But Not Alone 4 and check it out. Because, and
I love solo games.
in case you just joined us and that link is not in chat for you yet, there he is. I just dropped it again.
I fell in love with solo games after the Bundle for Racial Justice and Equality. Because someone made a Twitter post that was like, hey, think about all the people who donated their projects to this bundle, how many obscene number of downloads they're getting that they're not getting paid for and will never get paid for. And like kind of, keep that in mind that's kind of a big deal. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to read and tweet about all of the TTRPGs. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I couldn't do it. There were too many. But I found a spreadsheet of all the solo games in the bundle for racial justice and equality. And I was like, aha,
Yeah.
this I can do. I don't need to get my friends. I don't need to make up a group. I don't need to convince anybody. I can just do these.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Nice.
Played every game in the racial justice and equality bundle, every single player TTRPG. And that was when I really fell in love with the medium. And not long after that, I wrote my first ever solo game, Headless Guide.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Which is still one of my favorite games. So
I am super touched about that. Like every time you mention it, I'm like, oh my God, Brian.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the first solo games that I actually played back when I started getting into them at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It was fun to write.
And it's fun to play. So,
Yay.
I also find myself gravitating towards games that do, because I think I had somebody once say something along the lines of like, oh, all the solo games are just these like solo journaling storytelling things. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no.
No,
I mean, yes, there are.
no, no. Those exist. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
And if you like those, boy, do we have some bangers in this year's Solo But Not Alone 4. But
Yeah.
we've also got Pocket Hex.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a straight up hex crawl in there. We've got a couple.
Yeah. Pocket Hex. What is the
Monster AI Goblins and Orcs.
Yep.
Which is a really fun, like, bolt on way to make your favorite TTRPG either GM-less or solo fully by having, like, basically AI rules for encounters. This is the second monster AI that's been in Solo But Not Alone. And I love that. I think that's such a genius project. We've got a couple Wretched and Alone games, which I love. We love it. The Pocket. We've got Haxen.
I see Bumbling is in there. A solo
Bumbling
RPG
is
about
so
bees.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Haxen's in here. Haxen's serious business. Haxen's good. And yeah, that's the real stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's a fairly crunchy game.
Yeah.
Like,
ooh, I see that Beth and Angel Make Games has one in here. The Light Years in an Instant.
they have several.
Yeah. I played their other poetry on Poetic Tides, their other poetry game, which is piratical poetry, and this one is science fiction poetry. So that looks fun.
Brent in chat. Beth and Angel Make Games are currently on Crowdfunder doing a zine, like a 7-zine February project where you can get a bunch of game zines. And if you you missed one, and if you,
yeah.
Oopsies. And if you support at a high enough level, you can challenge them for the subject of a zine. And I just think that's so cute. So if you're a Beth and Angel fan, and if you are, there's a lot to like in Solo But Not Alone 4, then, they're on Crowdfunder right now doing a campaign, so check it out.
Awesome.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Light Years in an Instant. If you like poetry games, by the way, Showtime by Cat Scratcher Studio, my boys, I am their #1 fan. I will knife anyone who says otherwise. The boys from Brazil, folks, they've done it again. My boys from Brazil have done it again. They're the designers of Friendly Neighborhood Superhero. They're the designers of Courage, which is a Carta game that's Legend of Zelda themed. So gorgeous. There's another one of those called Fatadira that's in the bundle this year. They designed Wonderfall. They designed Divinity Fall. And this year they have Showtime, which is toss a coin to your Witcher, the solo game. Like, you play a bard whose goal is to write a poem or sing a song that will get work for your monster hunter.
Nice.
And because it's the way that they do things down at Cat Scratcher Studios, there's so many random tables. So it's like, this is what you roll randomly for the monster, you roll randomly for like what guild hired your hero, and then you have to write a poem to impress them and get your hero paid. And there are hecklers. It's fun. Showtime is fun. They launched it for Solo But Not Alone this year. I just love them. They're perfect. They've never done anything wrong in their lives.
I also love, I have a particular love for games that allow you to create things that you can potentially use in other games.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So things like, I don't know. I know Delve has been in previous bundles.
Yes, it has.
So Delve is a really good one where you make a basically you play out the life cycle of a dwarven delve, and win or lose, at the end of it, you have this map of an underground dwarven kingdom.
Oh, it's so cool.
That you can then port into and use as a map for like whatever other fantasy game you're currently running.
I love games like that, genuinely.
I've blanked on the name of it, but there's one where you basically make an evil necromancer or like an evil wizard spell book.
Yes.
And then at the end of it, you have an evil wizard spell book that you can then flop down on the table as a prop with your players.
And this year we have Glyph, which is a game about making magical glyphs.
Nice. Oh,
which can also, like, again, be used in another game as a prop or as a piece of flair. It's so cool.
Yeah, I will have to put that on my short list.
Glyph looks really interesting. You might also really like Remember the Land, because it's a card game about mapping an area that will soon be destroyed. And so it's about like remembering the stories of this land, making a map of it before it's gone. It's so cool. It's from the Carta Jam. It's a favorite of mine from the Carta Jam. I love it. And Fatadira, Dawn of a New Day is the other Zelda game. It's inspired by Majora's Mask, where you like can repeat things in time. It's so cool. Why?
Because we live in a rich and vibrant city, Kat. That's why.
We do live in a rich and vibrant city. I live in a particularly vibrant area of the city. It's not that bad. It has a worse reputation than it deserves. It's one of those small neighborhoods that gets a bad reputation because poor people live there. But in actuality, like, everyone looks out for each other and things are fine.
Yeah, our area of the city is actually pretty good all the time. It gets vibrant around hockey games.
Oh yeah. But hockey brings a lot of energy to our city.
Yes, that is one way of looking at it.
I have a question for you. This is totally unrelated to anything we were talking about, Brent.
Okay.
Oh wait, never mind. I already know the answer to this. Never mind. Because like almost every Canadian has some kind of like Manchurian Candidate response to the sight of a curling game. It entrances us. We see curling and we're just like, oh, curling, and we must watch it.
It's true.
Like, you actually curl. And I remembered this when I was halfway through that sentence, that you do actually do it. But like for me, it's like if I see curling, I must watch it. I must watch rock go.
Yep. I haven't in ages, but yes, I used to curl a lot.
Yeah.
More back when I was in college. Actually,
it's nice.
Yeah, it's a good game. I really enjoy it.
Where's the rock go?
It is chess, but on ice with like 30-pound rocks. What's not to love?
Yeah, and you don't get to just put them down. You gotta slide them from a ways away.
Yeah.
And then if you watch them slide, they just move so gracefully along the ice. And a good team, the rock just kind of stops exactly where they want it to. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful. I want to write a solo game about curling, Brent.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually, it's still on the back burner, but I do have my, it's not specifically it involves curling. People who don't know, who are not up on their Canadian literature, and shame on you, if you're not, there was a Canadian novelist, short story writer, playwright by the name of W.O. Mitchell, who wrote a radio play called The Black Bonspiel of Woolley McCrimmon.
Oh, right. I remember you told me about this, and you really want to do a game.
Yeah, which to the bane of stage managers and production teams everywhere, people insist on staging on like live action stages. And the reason it's the bane of stage managers and the production crew is because the entirety of the second act is a curling game that happens live on stage. And so every production is faced with the necessity of figuring out how to actually have actors curl on stage, because it's not just enough. Like, if they just had to play a game of curling and the outcome didn't matter, fine. But someone actually has to, like, there has to be a winner. There has to be a specific winner. I mean, there are two endings to the play. There is one where the devil wins, and there's one where Willie McCrimmon wins. But everyone goes with the Willie McCrimmon version, because that's the happier version. It's very, very broad topic, easily accessible to everyone. I want to write a solo game about curling against the devil.
Yeah.
Again, right in line with the other solo game that I'm working on, called Maybe Tomorrow, which is specifically about role-playing the dog from Canada's favorite dog-related TV show.
Oh, the Tiny Man!
The Littlest Hobo.
The Littlest of Hobos!
which is a show that ran for 4 years in the 80s. And then was endlessly syndicated here, at least here in Canada and in other places, I'm fairly certain. And it was simply about a dog who traveled from town to town, helping people with their problems. And it's important to note, this was not all dogs are special, but this was not like a superhero dog. This was not like a mutant dog that had, it
wasn't
like,
even a talking dog.
Human shit. It wasn't even a talking dog. It was just a regular. It was just a shepherd cross.
Just a normal dog.
Yeah, it would just travel from town to town, serendipitously, like running into people who were having a problem that a dog could solve. And this one, this went on like 20 episodes per season for like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the other solo game that I'm working on. Someday. I'll get them done someday. But, again, a very broad, easily accessible topic that everyone is going to instantly understand. And
listen, Canadiana is a core part of your brand.
It's true.
It's fine. It's good. It's our culture.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, someone wrote a TTRPG about House Hippo, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh, I will have to track that down.
I'm gonna look, because I love those little guys.
Hey, Tales from the Fandom. Thanks for the lurk.
Hello. Did you know that... There we go. A tabletop guide to the North American House Hippo.
Excellent. I will have to pick that up and add it to my animal related TTRPG collection.
It's a honey heist hack.
Ooh.
I guess what you heist is the crumbs from peanut butter on toast and mittens.
That makes sense. That tracks.
I love it.
It wasn't specific. It wasn't written by a Canadian, and it doesn't reference specifically Canada. But it is about a moose, so I feel like it fits. There is the Moose Trip, by Kira Magrin. That is a game about. Fun fact for anybody who doesn't know this about moose. Moose generally eat like bog and swamp plants. Like one of the reasons they have such long legs is that they walk around in like marshes and bogs and things like that, and stick their face down and eat whatever underwater plants they can get. And
that's why they got the nickname swamp donkeys.
Yep. And sometimes that includes psychedelic mushrooms. So moose often get stoned. and have little psychedelic trips. So if you've ever been anywhere and a moose is just like standing there, not really doing much of anything, and doesn't seem to be terribly concerned that you're there, there's a better than even chance that that moose is stoned on psychedelics, and is not really worried about anything. But that's what this game is about. It's basically you are a group of moose, a herd of moose, who have eaten psychedelics, and it's a storytelling game. You're basically just asking questions back and forth, and answering questions about yourselves.
The moose is just like me for real. It's also bigger than you expect it to be. Like me for real.
I'm always like, people, I tell people about a moose and they think like, oh, it's like a deer. It's just a bulky deer. And it's like, no,
absolutely not.
No. This is a horse on stilts.
This is fully a megafauna. Like, this is fully megafauna. That's not an exaggeration.
No.
Like, if you hit a moose with your car, the moose is okay. You are fucked.
Yeah.
Like, the moose is fine.
Yeah.
The biggest predator of the moose is the killer fucking whale.
Yes.
Because they swim from island to island on the Pacific coast, and most other creatures aren't big enough to take a moose, but a killer whale can do it.
Oh, yeah.
When they're swimming.
Yeah. When they're not able to charge and attack you.
Yeah. They're relatively defenseless in the water.
Yes.
But they're still huge.
But not entirely defenseless. I
Moose
am pretty much guarantee that moose is like trying to kick that orca to death.
Oh, you don't want to be kicked by. You don't want to be kicked by moose.
No.
Oh, Canada. We have such a deep, deep love for animals that are larger than they should be and hate us.
Which is all of them.
What else is on our currency? Like the goose, those things. We hate them and they hate us.
Yeah.
Beavers don't give a single shit about human beings.
Yep.
They don't care.
Polar bears. Yeah.
Polar bears arguably hate us less than anything else we put on currency.
They don't hate us. It's just that we tend to, when we're up north, where polar bears can actually find us, we tend to look like seals, because we're dressed in parkas from head to toe. So we look like a seal that's like walking around. So it's not a hate thing. It's more just we look like food to them.
Yeah.
But back to solo games.
I have written a solo game about one of my favorite pieces of Canadian biology.
Yeah.
I wrote a solo game called Stalk the Rushes, which is about being a great blue heron hunting for prey in a lake.
Nice.
Because great blue herons are native to the area I live in, central Alberta. And I was on a union trip down to Regina. I had a great time. And then a friend of mine was doing the bird jam, Caden Ramstack. And I was like, what kind of bird should I write this about? I step off my plane. First thing I see is a heron in flight. And I'm like, I can do that. I can write a game in which you are a heron.
Yep.
Trying to snatch a fish. Because they are ambush predators.
It's very true.
So the game is played on a sheet of paper, and you play it by like drawing overlapping circles. And if the circles reach your prey, then the ripples have reached them, and the prey gets scared off.
Oh, okay.
And so you have to kind of like build up your patience by like stalking them before you make your move, so that you can snatch them. But if you every time you move, you make ripples. And every turn, those ripples get bigger and bigger. And you have to draw a circle around the old circle, a little bit bigger. Yeah. It's a kid-friendly game about being a heron. So some of the games in Solo But Not Alone are very physical like that. Oh no! Oh no!
Huh. I'm not sure why it won't load for you, Dave. But yeah, it's going okay.
Yeah. What else is in here? There's a really Pounce is in here, which is very, very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It was a game written for Super Dylan's birthday by one of their friends about their kitten looking for them in the house.
Nice.
And it's a card game about trying to find your person.
I love that.
Being a little kitten, it's very sweet. We've got Aransi Days from the Illicit Peanuts team located in India. And it is about being a little kid detective in your grandmother's village. Such a cute game.
We love kid detectives.
We love kid detectives.
Oh, there it is, Pounce. Yeah. I love Super Dylan, one of Super Dylan's games, Andy, ampersand, ampersand D, all about a dragon, named Andy. I love it.
But there's a particular genre of solo games that I love most best,
mm-hmm.
and that is I love solo games that are meant to be like self-help games, where like you advance the fiction of the game by doing things in your real life that are beneficial to you.
Oh, cool.
Like Mandrake Sanctuary. I wrote one called Manelica, which is about kind of advancing your goals, and the moon is your GM. And Beth and Angel have a little nudge in here, and Ethan Games. Ethan Reynolds has Shadow Wizard Money Gang, the TTRPG, in which you gain levels by, like, doing grown-up stuff, like doing your dishes or going for a walk.
Very cool.
So I love a good get your shit together TTRPG. Like, they're favorites of mine.
Yeah. One of the first solo games that I played was actually by POC Gamer. That is similar in concept to that, except you basically treat your home as if it's a starbase. And every time you enter a room, you have to roll to see if you are essentially like attacked by the creature that is stalking through the starbase. And you can complete tasks in that room in order to help you defeat or get rid of the creature. So yeah.
Oh, I love them. I'm a sucker for that kind of game, that kind of like borderline ARG game where like doing stuff in your real life. The first one I ever played was Ego by Sandy Pug Games, a game I adore and will recommend to anyone.
I also really enjoy solo games that you can play in different places. There is one that I've played where it is meant to be played when you are at the bus stop. And it's like as you are on the bus heading into work or wherever you're going on the bus at that particular time, you are pretending essentially that you are on a bus trip into like another dimension, that you work or are going to something that is in like another location in like another dimension entirely, and this bus is how you're getting there. And so you answer a bunch of journaling prompts about your journey and why you're going there and what you're doing, and it's very cool.
Yeah. We've got one in this year's bundle that I read and love. It's Pareidolia Evil Eye. And this game's concept is that you work for like a bureau of supernatural phenomenon. And there's this weird creature that kind of manifests as what's called a watcher, which is basically anytime you see something and then imagine that it has a face, you've encountered a watcher. And
Mm-hmm.
You kind of like you do things to seal and contain this watcher. And so it's like you're noodling around and then you see a plug and you're like, hey, it's a little guy. And you're like, uh-oh, it's a little guy. Better seal the little guy before harm comes to us all. So I think it's very, very cute. I really like Peridolia. And it is one of our multilingual games. There's also a Spanish version available.
Oh, very cool.
We also have Necromancien, which is a French language game.
My French is rusty, but I shall have to check that out and see if I can.
My French is rusty too, because I stopped doing Duolingo every day.
Me too. And then I'm not going back to them because they laid off all their staff and are using AI. So
that's why I did it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not AI, because it's not actually artificial intelligence. I hate that.
Machine learning.
Machine learning.
Whatever.
if it was actual AI, that would be impressive, but it's not. It never is.
Yeah, no. They're just trying to, appease venture capitalists like everybody is, and ugh.
Yeah.
How vile.
Exactly.
Oh, tomorrow on Take Flight, I am going to be featuring the solo game Freakin' High School, which is in Solo But Not Alone 4. It is about being the child of a superhero. And we're not talking like a person-shaped superhero. We're talking like the friggin' Thing or Hellboy. So, like, you're visibly different from everybody around you.
Yeah.
And your parents involved in all kinds of whack shit. And we're going to be talking about layout. We're going to be talking with James about how to make this game pretty.
No, very cool.
So I'm very excited. I have a show on Plus One EXP. It's called Take Flight, where I hook an inexperienced or expanding game designer up with a 90-minute mentorship program, basically. And we get a more experienced designer to answer their questions and kind of get them unstuck. It's aggressively airline themed. I call myself the flight attendant. It's very fun.
Love it.
I give a little safety speech. In case of an emotional emergency, please familiarize yourself with the exits to the stream and assist yourself before helping others. Like, fully.
Nice. I love that.
You know me, I love a theme.
Yeah. It's definitely a good time.
So, Freakin' High School is really good. It's really good. I'm really excited about it. In part because I just like James. He's a great guy to hang out with. Good, cool dude.
Indeed.
Okay. We've also got another genre of solo game that I really love that we've got a couple of in here is just like deeply personal experiences.
Okay.
People who write a game that is like, here's my way of showing you my lived experience through the medium of a game. We've got Found in Transition, a journaling game about being transgender and transitioning. We've got They Must Not See This, which is about the writer's mother's experience with schizophrenia. I just love those. I love having them in the game. I just think that they show the really beautiful potential of games to transport you into another person and another life and like communicate something very experiential about your life in a way that just solid writing really kind of can't. One of the classics of the genre, as far as I'm concerned, is My Brain is a Stick of Butter, which is about the ADHD experience. And I played that game and I did not find it very challenging. And then I got an ADHD diagnosis for unrelated reasons.
Yeah, that tracks.
How dare you? It's true. I can't sit still. I can't not do things. I'm very heavy on the hyperactive portion of the ADHD. I'm very H.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always bustling around, whether I like it or not. But just the fact that that game was trying to not just like tell you what it's like to have ADHD, but communicate through action and experience
Mm-hmm.
is just like a very unique potential that tabletop games have. So I really love having these very personal projects in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoy games like that as well, like the things that delve into like perhaps like more difficult topics,
Mm-hmm.
because I think they give you. I think what's important is that they give you a structure within to explore within,
Yeah.
to explore within, and and I think sometimes that can be important because I mean it's one thing to like decide, well, I'm going to sit down and think about this thing that I'm dealing with or this, but it's another thing to actually have like a little bit of structure to that, and to have something that exists as an outside arbiter to help you work through it, that isn't judging you, because you could get a similar experience sitting down with somebody and playing a game with another person. But I think there's always that thing at the back of your mind, especially if you're dealing with something that is like very personal or, is perhaps just very heavy. It can be difficult unless you like absolutely trust that other person to really
Mm-hmm.
dig into. But when that other person is essentially just like the pages of a game, or is like a deck of cards that helps you, like directs you through it, or a set of dice or something like that. There's something very freeing about sort of giving yourself over to like a mechanical device that is guiding you through whatever it is you're trying to go through.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I agree entirely. There's room for vulnerability when
Mm-hmm.
it's just you in the book.
Yeah.
That even if this is something you would be uncomfortable with engaging with another person with, you don't have to share what you write with anybody if you write anything down at all.
Yeah.
Like I very often, because I've got a really good like experiential memory, I very often don't write down what happens in my TTR, like in my solo games.
Yeah.
I just kind of move through it because I have a I part I have a particular brain that can't hold on to a number for more than 2 seconds, but can remember a sequence of events.
Right.
So when I'm playing a very vulnerable game like that, especially, I very often will not write anything down and just kind of like immerse myself in it.
Yeah.
And then like even that feeling of self-consciousness that comes from having a permanent record of what you wrote isn't even there. Like
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's very good. I mean, I do a similar thing when I'm doing journaling games, when I stream solo games, is that I often won't actually write things down.
yeah.
Part of that is for the same reason that I have experiential memory that like helps me. But the other obvious reason is that if I'm streaming, nobody wants to look at the top of my head as
Well,
I'm
you
writing,
type, yeah.
as I'm typing, or as I'm writing things down in a journal.
Yeah.
So it's just like I will just talk it through out loud, but even that is like a different experience,
It is.
from playing a game on my own, because I know that I have an audience, right? I know that there are people watching,
Mm.
and so that adds like a performance aspect into what I'm doing that is different from just playing the game at home on your own.
Yeah.
So, but I would also say, you don't have to play those games if you don't want to. You can go and grab you can go and pick like Bumble, and just be a bee. Just be a
You
bee.
can just be a little bumblebee.
Yep.
I played like no one ever was because I love Pokemon,
Yeah.
but it's despite the title and the cover, it's actually just like a Kids and Monsters story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's also very Digimon. It's very like, oh, yay, it's working. So I did that as kind of a prep for another game. Is like I was telling kind of a backstory about this little girl and her monster partner.
Very
And like
cool.
I actually really enjoyed Like No One Ever Was. I thought it was extremely charming.
Nice. That's the other thing is that I think for a lot of creators, I hope a lot of creators will grab um, will consider doing solo TTRPGs. Um, Whenever I encounter someone who is talking about like, well, I don't know if I want to do something in the TTRPG. I want to write like a game or something like that, but I don't know if I have it in me to write like a game for multiple people. I'm just like, well, then just do a solo game. Like, do something that is, and it's not that the solo game is easier to write than like other games, but there is less. Um, there is less concern about because if you write a game for like a group of people, then you have to go find a group of people to test the game out,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to sort of debut your game in front of a bunch of other people, and that can be hard for a lot of folks. So like just writing a solo game so you can get some ideas down and test some things out that you can then play through and see if it works, and can be really helpful creatively.
Mm. Yeah. It's Headless Guide was one of the first games I wrote that wasn't a big game.
Mm-hmm.
Like my prior games, I wanted to write big game, and I do still love a big game. I've written a couple of those, but there was something really liberating for me about my first experience just writing a little game for a jam. It's kind of like I was a fantasy writer for a very long time. Nowadays, I write TTRPGs and have actually more fun, I think, than I did writing fantasy books. But it's kind of similar to the feeling. If you're a fantasy writer, you'll know this. The first time you write your second fantasy setting, because your first one, it feels like this, well, it's all got to be this now. This is my Middle Earth. This is my Narnia. This is my.
Yeah.
It's all got to be in this world, and you absolutely you overwork it, and the first time you write something that's not there, you're like, oh, I can just do this as many times as I want, huh? I can just do this anytime I like, really.
Yeah.
And I had the same experience writing a small game. It's like, oh no, I don't have to labor for years on this, do I? I could just write a game whenever I feel like it, huh? Like it's almost revelatory.
Nice. Yeah, I think so too. Is that it doesn't have to be for anyone else except for you. Like I joked about like the accessibility of writing a game about curling against the devil, and about writing about like writing a game based on a beloved '80s Canadian television show about a dog. But really, that's perfect. Like write those games and put them out there, and maybe they find like the 10 other people in the world who have been desperately seeking a curling game, or desperately wanting to be like a dog who just travels from small town to small town helping people,
Hmm.
and without having to worry about like, is this going to appeal to a bunch of people? Is it streamable? Is it like,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot of the baggage that can come along with creating games in the space currently.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say that I have sat down to write a game with streamability in mind. Remarine
mm-hmm.
was written specifically to be light on the GM's, light enough on the GM's cognitive load
Mm-hmm.
that it would be easy to stream. But I also am an AP producer and an AP GM, so actual play is also a form of art I engage in. So it wasn't like I need to write this so other people will stream it. It was, I need to write this way because streaming and actual play podcasting are parts of how I express myself in the TTRPG space. And I
Right.
want to harmonize those two things. Like, I do think I I balk anytime somebody feels like something is necessary in the TTRPG space.
Yeah.
Anytime someone says you have to do X, I'm like, oh, do you? Do you
Yeah.
really? Do I have to use dice? No, I don't want to. Fuck you. It's a tarot game. What, I have to have tables? Absolutely not. Go to hell. Like
Yeah.
I'm just, and it's like if someone were to say, oh, I have to make a game that's streamable, I'm like, well, first of all, people will stream all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Second of all, do you? Do you really?
I think, I think there's a lot of the discourse that goes back and forth is around like what's necessary in games, what makes a TTRPG, all the rest of it. To my mind, the only level at which you can accurately talk about what is needed in a game is at the table level. When you're at the table with the people that you are playing with, that is the last level at which you can actually have a reasonable, like, accurate discussion about what you need for this game.
I agree entirely.
Once you go beyond that, once you've put your game out in the world, and other folks can get at it, then it's up to them to decide what is necessary about your game. Like you can't dictate to other people, like, you know, it's like, no, you can't play my game. And that was, you know, about Gygax has many sins at his feet.
Many?
But one of them was the period he went through shortly after starting TSR, where, because in the beginning, Gygax was very much like, yeah, it's your table, play the game the way you want to. We just put the rules out and stuff like that. But then there was a period where, and predominantly driven by the fact that Gygax was realizing that he was losing out on some sales by letting people like build things and do things the way that they wanted, that he was just like, no, if you want to play it, and that was the impetus for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, was just like, no, if you want to play the real D&D, like the advanced D&D, if you want to be like a top tier player, you got to follow the rules, and you got to do it rules as written. And that's where that sort of whole concept crept into the hobby, and which is totally bogus, because everyone was making changes to the table. Like, you know, I was using the D&D basic like box set, the pink one with the Errol Otis art on it. I was using that to play in like was it John Carter of Mars setting.
Whoa.
Right? Like you hacked what you wanted to hack, and you
Yeah. And like even tables that won't admit to hacking do it. In my lifetime, I have played one game of Dungeons and Dragons that involved encumbrance.
Yeah.
Literally once, because it sucks and is boring.
Yep. It's like all those people who insist that they play Monopoly the right, true way, and and nobody plays Monopoly A, the same way, and B, the right way. Because if you play Monopoly rules as written, you quickly realize that it's not actually a game about being a business person. It's a game about how much business sucks.
Monopoly is meant to not be fun. Like, that's the point.
Yeah.
God, that game sucks on purpose, and I prefer no. Now that I know that it sucks on purpose, I like it actually.
Yeah. But like if I'm watching a table of people play Monopoly, I'm always a little suspicious of the ones who are having a super good time playing Monopoly, because it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep my eye on you. That's a potential landlord. Don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Can't trust him. My like I typically I don't like to wade into discussions about what a TTRPG is or what a TTRPG needs because I genuinely don't care.
Yeah.
It's like I do not care to define the space I'm playing in. I super don't.
Yeah.
I
would.
call my work TTRPGs, but I don't care if they
Yeah.
are or not. I super don't.
Yeah.
My definition is like any game that people play by responding to the game with their imagination.
Yeah.
Counts as a TTRPG to me.
Yeah.
So like the game gives you the stimulus, your imagination responds to the stimulus. That's a TTRPG, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, really, lots of things can become a TTRPG that were never intended to be. There's a board game called Shadows over Camelot that has that I used to play with some friends, and we just got really into playing our characters. And it's not written as a TTRPG, and certainly like playing, like leaning into the characters, the particular Knights of the Round Table we were playing. Didn't give us like any in-game bonus or anything like that. There was no, we did it purely for the fun, and that's
just added a dimension onto the game.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I agree. I don't think there's not really any huge benefit in spending a lot of time thinking about like what makes a TTRPG, and I mean, certainly if you enjoy that, by all means, like go ahead and talk about it and think about it and write about it and do.
I can't be bothered.
But if
it's your thing, go for it. I love it for you. Have a great time. Don't be rude about it.
Yeah.
But like, have a great time. It's not an interesting conversation for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think where it becomes an issue is that when people like write that thing and they see that people are responding to it positively, like, they get some people who agree with them, and then suddenly they decide that like, yes, people agree with me, so obviously I am right. And so now this is the right way to play a game. And it's like,
I actually think that impulse might come from the fact that you and I have spent a lot of time in the speculative fiction scene. And if there's a place on this earth where discussions of genre become just an Ouroboros eating its own tail to death, it's in speculative fiction.
Oh, yeah.
So like I got so much of that I super didn't care. By the time I started focusing more on TTRPG writing, I already didn't care about genres. I was already tired of that.
Yeah.
But I do care about tags, which is why they're in the spreadsheet. So if you want to play a game with some little tiny friends in your life, you can look for the kid-friendly tag and find it more than a few games in there.
Yeah.
I need to actually like dig up some of the really good family-friendly games in here to play with my sister's demon children. Well, no, they're. My niece is not mean to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
She's very sweet, but she is bad for fun. She is just kind of naughty, like, and she's not very respectful of authority. And like, I love it. I think it's wonderful. I love this kid.
I mean, really, who is?
And my nephew is bad in the way that a neurodivergent 5-year-old boy is bad, which is to say, he will not do what you tell him to do. He's going to do his own shit, and he can't be stopped. But they're good kids. They're just a headache. And that's how kids are.
It's true.
There was a family-friendly TTRPG that my mama found them for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Magical Adventures, and it's played with a magic 8-ball. And basically, like, you go around the board, because it's a board game, and you get encounters, and the encounters on the card, you read them, you say how you respond, and the person reading, like, then you check the magic 8-ball, and there's a kind of a little table on there, like, based on the answer the person chose and the answer the magic 8-ball gave, what happens in the game. So it's very, like, surprisingly crunchy for a TTRPG for little kids,
Mm-hmm.
but still like very very freeform and very cute. You play as these little like Redwall ass little aminal dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Hedgehog mage.
Nice.
It was very good. So it's family friendly games have been something that's been on my mind a lot lately now that my sister's kids have the attention span for it a little bit.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
was so delighted to have so many family friendly games in this year's bundle.
Yeah, I think that's really important because, like, again, even if you do have kids who are inclined and want to play TTRPGs, they don't necessarily they don't necessarily want to play with anyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you can set them down with like a solo game and a deck of cards and be like, here you go, have fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Or even there's one in here called When You're Feeling, Read This Zine, which is a trio of PBTA style moves. Well, it's a single D6, not two, but
mm-hmm.
they're basically moves for when you're experiencing an abundance of feelings. And
Very
you
cool.
roll a die, and the prompt will give you something like, yeah, sit a moment and take a deep breath. Like, recognize that your anger is valid, and like, what's a productive way to channel it? Or like, yeah, enjoy your happiness. You deserve to be happy. Like, so that would be a really good one to like, go through with a kid or
Yeah.
keep on hand so that when a little friend is having big feelings, you can kind of sit them down with the zine and use that as a way to talk it out.
Yeah, and I love well role playing games in general for that, but like I think solo RPGs are a really good way of doing that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
of getting through emotions.
yep.
I'm so excited. I remembered I was going through the bundle before we started the stream, and I very suddenly was like, "Oh my god, this is here!" And I never explained to Brent what that was, but I saw an illustrator's guide to the Dreamt Lands, which is a solo journaling and sketching game where you venture through a surrealist dreamscape.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working on my art skills for a while. I draw every day.
Nice.
So I was like, this might be a nice game to work on my like scenery drawing. Wouldn't say I'm very good yet, but like I took up calligraphy during the pandemic. And I'm now like pretty good at Gothic style. Like pretty good. And my foundational hand is all right. And it's like, I'm not a professional, but daily practice bit by bit will get you somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if you're fully a 38-year-old ass adult. Like daily practice will get you somewhere. So that's like another reason why I love self-help TTRPGs is because they often focus on like the little things you can do in your day-to-day life to try to make bigger wishes come true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see one of the games in here is called The Inner Critic by Quirky
Yes.
Bird Games. So turning your inner critic into your biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like self-talk stuff in here, which I love.
Yeah.
Let's see. Beth and Angel put in a little nudge, which is about picking and choosing a goal and then working toward it.
Very cool.
Which is, I love it because I love games about just like doing little things in your day-to-day life that will all together like make you happier.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it enough. It's by Sprinting Owl Games, Mandrake Sanctuary.
What's
Is
that
a
about?
game where you raise these little mandrakes, these little plant guys, and depending on which soil you've put them in, you raise them by every day doing a certain thing. Like there's a soil that your mandrakes grow when you do exercise, and there's a soil that your mandrakes grow when you like spend time out with friends or when you go to work.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Or there was one, I was going through a rough patch, so I put one of my mandrakes in the just get through the day soil and like And when you've done that, you draw a little, like another little leaf on the little guy. And so he grows that way.
Oh, nice.
It's a really sweet game. And again, it gets you to a position where you're like, you know what? Today I did some exercise. I draw a little leaf. My little guy is getting bigger.
Yep.
Very, very Tamagotchi.
I do love, there's a meme that I saw on TikTok, or have seen on TikTok quite a bit. And there's a game in here named after it that is also a self-help game. Shadow Wizard Money Gang, the TTRPG. So
yeah, we love casting spells.
Yeah. So
we love casting spells.
Because sometimes you just need a game that tricks you into helping yourself.
You do. And I did download this one, and I think I would need to hack it because I don't have a walkable pet.
Fair.
But like, meet with other great spellcasters, go out with friends, search the scrolls for answers, scrape away corruption from your domicile, release the beast within. Like,
yeah,
I would just have to. I think I would just have to not go for a walk with my pets and go for a walk without my pet, because my pet is a snake, and
that's
he lives in his box.
This is not a good time of year for snakes to be outside.
It's true, and he is a baby, so he's not very sociable yet. We're working on getting him used to the presence of human beings, but right now he's my little chicken noodle. He's afraid of everything.
Oh,
he's
little
so
guy.
Cute though. He's so cute. He's such a cute little guy. And I tell him that good boys don't fear their mother, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain, and you can be like they are. Come on, Toby, don't fear your mother. He doesn't get it. He's too young. Just like me, he's reclusive and has an involved skincare routine. So, like, we get along great. But I can't take him for a walk.
No.
Shame.
Even if it weren't cold, although it's warmer than it should be. But back to Solo TTRPGs for a moment.
I got distracted.
No, it's fine. We both got distracted.
I
think we'll wrap things up because we're coming up on an hour and a half, and that seems like a goodly amount of time.
Yeah.
But where can folks? I mean, I'm going to put it in chat, so it's sort of a spoiler. But where can folks find you if they want to?
Online. Oh, details.
Yes.
Okay. All right, details. You can find me on the webby site formerly known as Twitter @CatlingGun. And I don't on Twitter very often because it hell now. You can also find me on Busky @CatlingGun. Blue Sky. It's Busky to me. I love Busky.
Yeah.
You can find my games at peachgardengames.com or peachgardengames.itch.io. And on peachgardengames.com, you can also find my podcasts, Sort of Symphonies and Roar to Heaven, which just concluded. We just had our big finale.
Ooh.
It is a 13-episode mech anime slugfest. It is wild. My cast absolutely knocked it out of the park. I adore them.
Excellent.
I am a founding member of the Rainbow Roll Network, and did you know that I'm the head of the events committee there? How the hell did that happen?
What did you do?
I don't know. I was at a meeting and I was like, hey, who's actually the head of the events committee? I have a weird feeling it's me. And everyone's like, yeah, it's you. And I'm like,
damn it.
How'd this happen? I know how this happened.
Yes.
Because I can't help but start projects.
You don't you don't show up for one meeting and suddenly you're the head of something.
Ain't that the way? But we do the annual Rainbow Roll Festival, which is about celebrating queer excellence in actual play. And I also have a stream coming up where me and my friend Amber are going to do some tarot readings to raise money for Gaza. So
sweet.
We're doing more detailed planning soon. But
Amber is cool.
Amber is cool. It's a science fact. I'm a known Amber liker. But that's where you can find me. Me, Cat. Am I forgetting anything?
And I don't think so.
Game. Network. Solo Not Alone. Easiest way to find Solo But Not Alone, by the way. There's a link that Brent is putting in chat and has a couple times. But there's also, if you just go to itch.io and search Solo But Not Alone 4, you will find it. Itch featured it. So, like, it's Itch's featured bundle right now, which is wonderful. I love when they do that.
That's outstanding. And you're almost at your first goal. You're just shy of 20,000.
I set a modest goal this year because, Twitter's on fire.
Yeah.
But, like,
I'm
trying not to get preoccupied with the numbers because
even
if no one from this moment forward were to buy the bundle, that's still $18,000 Take This didn't have before we did this.
Exactly.
And I've got to think about it that way because, like, that's...
Yeah. That said...
That's more important than whether I can boast of a big number.
Yeah. That said, if you are watching this, however you are watching this, if you're watching it now or if you're watching it later when I repost this to YouTube, please do go to Itch and search Solo But Not Alone 4 and pick it up. It's $10 for 95
124 games.
124 games. It says 125, but one of those is the spreadsheet that tells you what everything is, which for me that's worth the $10 alone. Like, even if just having that resource when you have 124 other games that you have to get through is huge. And
I wish more charity bundles did it. I know it's a lot of work, but I wish more charity bundles did it.
Yeah.
Oh, and do please review them. Please let the authors know if you played and enjoyed their games.
Yes.
They're doing a huge, wonderful thing by donating all of these profits to Take This. And it's really very beautiful of them. I hope they all claim it on taxes if they're in the States.
Yeah. Honestly, if you do pick up the bundle, I would recommend pouring yourself a coffee or whatever beverage you particularly enjoy drinking while you're doing something which is a potentially onerous task, and just go through the list and 5-star every game that you picked up in the bundle. You can go back later and leave comments or a review if you want to, but at the very least, 5-star them all, because that kicks them up in the algorithm. And when people go to Itch, that means their games show up a little bit easier in searches and things like that. So that helps them out as well. And honestly, every one of them deserves a 5-star rating for donating their game to this bundle. So, yeah. Well, thanks for coming out and talking tonight, Kat. It's been too long. It's always too long. Even if we had talked yesterday, it would still be too long.
Yeah, true. It's been ages. We keep trying to have a meeting. We keep trying to have a meeting and then not doing it. But genuinely, literally always a delight.
Thanks.
Every single time.
And we don't need to go into too much about where you can find me because you found me here. And my links and stuff have been on the screen. Basically, if you just search Dorklord Canada on the internet, you will find at least my Twitter and probably my website. So, and from there, the sky's the limit. You can have as much or as little Dorklord Canada as you want. But yeah, I think that's us for this evening. Thanks everyone for coming out and listening to us talk about Solo But Not Alone 4 and TTRPGs. Thanks, Kat.
Anytime.
All right. Bye, everyone.